You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.
And now, it's time for the show that breaks down the options market from unusual activity alerts to market analysis, strategy overviews, listener questions, and much more. If it involves puts and calls, then our all-star panel will break it down. It's time to hit the Option Block with your host, Mark Longo from the Options Insider Media Group, and co-hosts, Uncle Mike Tosaw from St. Charles Wealth Management, along with Andrew the Rock Lobster Giovinazzi from OptionFit.com. Want a trading platform that was built by option traders for options traders? Then join Tasty Trade, Investopedia's best platform for options trading 2026. Get advanced charting with 100-plus indicators, options backtesting, a pre-built strategy selector, and more with your account. Join Tasty Trade today and earn a double commission rebate up to $3,000 total on your stock and ETF options trades for 30 days. Visit tastytrade.com/insider for more info. All applicable regulatory, exchange, and clearing fees still apply. Options involve risks and are not suitable for all investors. Learn more about Tasty Trade promo terms and conditions at tastytrade.com/double. Offer expires May 31st, 2026. Tasty Trade Incorporated is a registered broker-dealer and member of FINRA, NFA, and SIPC. And now, get ready to hit the Option Block.
All right, everybody, that music means we are back. It is time to commence operations for the week here on the old network. Hope you had a great weekend. My name, of course, Mark Longo from the Options Insider Radio Network. You're home now for 19 plus years of options podcast. Goodness, you folks on the pro already getting some tastes, some samples of what's coming out of OIC. The rest of you can stay tuned for that later this week. Of course, you want to get pro Q&As. You want to get options oddities. You want to get, man, we had an embarrassment of riches on the old pro last week. On top of all that good stuff, on top of the Q&A we did with Tosaw right before OIC, on top of oddities, we also did an even bonus one right after oddities discovered, wait a minute, what's this 5Xer we got lurking in here, that trade we did? And so that was a fun one as well. Broke that, all that stuff hitting the pro and a whole bunch more. The optionsinsider.com/pro is the place to go to learn more. As we learn who's joining us on the old program today, we got the uncleest of Mikes, Mr. Uncle Mike Tosaw from St. Charles Wealth Management, as well as the rockingest of lobsters, Mr. Andrew Giovinazzi from OptionPit.com. And I asked the chat before the show, I said, what color should these gentlemen battle over today? And they were generous. They were generous, I will say, to one Uncle Mike Tosaw, because they went orange. So, gentlemen, get your fingers on the trigger. It is time for the 80s Trivia Challenge. Here we go. All right. Got your fingers, easy for me to say. Can't say fingers today. Fingers on the triggers. Here we go, gentlemen. Orange is the category. Remember, this is a vintage set of 80s Trivial Pursuit cards. These cards were written in the 80s. They are referring to things that were going on in the 80s. I just say that to say, okay, orange, here we go. What sports magazine has the largest circulation?
Sports Illustrated.
Oh,
Buzz.
No. He didn't buzz. There's no buzz on the screen. He does not get that.
We're just blurting out the answer. I love it. Uncle Mike, could you possibly steal, sir? You buzz first.
I think I'm going to guess Sports Illustrated.
Oh, how could you possibly know such things? Uncle Mike.
I hit the buzz, but I look at it. What's weird is I hit my buzz button doesn't work.
Oh no!
Don't mean a thing if it ain't on the screen.
I see test. I don't see buzz. I see buzz from Uncle Mike.
You know what? I had my cursor on something else.
It could come back to bite you. That 1 point could be the deciding factor at the end of the day. Listen, that one was pretty easy. I saw that card and I said, I hope they don't pick orange. And they picked orange.
I said Sports Illustrated before he buzzed. So if he's satisfied with the weakest point ever in history, I'll let him have it.
Oh, like I'm not going to know that.
Them's fighting words, Uncle Mike. You going to sit there and take that?
Well, he's satisfied by the skullduggery and the tomfoolery of the demolition, so...
I understand that is for rarefied minds only to understand the complexity of that situation.
The glory that is demolition. I should give him a bonus point just for thinking about it. You know, that's how good that answer was. But instead, listeners, let's keep on rolling right on into the trading block.
It's time to break down the latest topics, trades, and trends in the world of options. It's time for the Trading Block.
All right, listeners, I got some new equipment here in the studio, so I'm just getting used to it, getting up to speed on it. So I sound a little bit different. Hopefully even better. That is why. Let's go around the horn. Let's see what's lighting up the tape out there today. And you know, it was leaning towards all red all the time. But you know, in this market, that can't really stay for long. We were not that long before showtime. All the major indices were red, and the VIX cash is right around 18.75, which puts it up about a full point. As the show approached, as Uncle Mike and his cabal got into their usual Monday buying frenzy, the Dow has now ticked ever so slightly green, up almost 0.1%. S&P still off 0.25%, a little more than that, so still below that 7,400 level, which still sounds wild to say out loud. 7,400 S&P, but that's where we are. We were just coming to grips with 7,200 not that long ago. We were just thinking about, can we break 6,300 in the other direction not that long ago? But here we are, listeners. The NASDAQ off about 0.2%, and VIX, after looking nice and spicy, nice and hot out of the gate, coming back to earth a little bit at about an 1835 right now, which puts it up about 2/3 of a point from where it was on the Thursday show, so say not the Monday show. So a lot to unpack out there. Also, VVIX at about a 92 when we kicked off the show, coming back to earth as well, down about 5 points from where we were at this time last week. But around the horn, we go out to the victor, disputed though it may be, of today's 80s Trivia Challenge. Mr. Uncle Mike, I'm sure you were a subscriber to Sports Illustrated back in the 80s. Did you have the football phone? Did you have the much beloved football phone that all subscribers to Sports Illustrated, I think, had to have by law? And then what's catching your eye in yet another looks like worm-turning market, sir?
I was actually a sporting news kind of guy. I had a subscription to the sporting news.
Look at you trying to be the iconoclast, going the other way, sir.
I know, it's kind of crazy with that, but yeah, and I remember that was just such big news when Sports Illustrated did the swimsuit issue every year, because it was just kind of a different thing for Sports Illustrated, but it was a very popular thing. I do remember that.
I do believe the Rock Lobster still has his full collection behind him, all the years from 1982 till the end.
Really, those are the glory years. I'll say 77 probably to 2000.
I will say that was the only Sports Illustrated that would routinely make it down to the trading floor every year like clockwork. I don't know how that happened. All of a sudden, you see a million swimsuit issues everywhere in everyone's back pocket on the trading floor. How did that happen? I don't know why that happened, Mr. Rocklop. Very strange.
Well, my other Sports Illustrated insight is when the big news when wrestling officially went mainstream in '85 when Hulk Hogan made the cover of Sports Illustrated.
And yet not in the documentary. They had 4 hours of the doc. So many things they left out.
Interesting. No doubt about that. Yeah, so today, last night, markets were down, I believe it was like 40, 50 points, something like that, when I was looking at my phone last evening to see what the S&P was doing for the Sunday night trading. So we had that. We were actually up ahead a little bit in pre-market today, shortly after 7:30 Chicago time. So we did have that. And then overall today, it's been a little bit, I would say it's been down, but I guess as you put it, Mark, about a half hour ago, I called my cabal and said, hey, we got the option block coming up, and I got to be on my A game for the trivia contest. So I need to see some buyers come in, please. And so they bought for me. So that's always something I appreciate when the cabal will actually go and buy for me. If only that were true. Anyway, from there, we're not really getting we're getting some movers and shakers throughout the day today. Nothing of any major significance from what I would say. The main thing that we're seeing at this stage that I would say is driving down the market, technology is down 1.6% on the day. It's balanced out by energy being up 1.6% on the day, but technology has a much greater hold on the S&P 500 than anything else. So that's kind of what's holding back the markets today. If you look at all the other sectors, everything's up in that, or I shouldn't say everything, almost everything's up. Financials are up 1% on the day. Industrials are down 0.6% on the day. But overall, we do have a pretty decent market today with the exception of technology. We didn't hit all-time highs today, so for some reason we do during the show, which is always exciting when it happens. I'll be sure to break on through, but we're quite a ways away from all-time highs. We're at 73.88 with the all-time highs definitely not being there because they have been north of 7,500 at 75.17. So we have that happening, and we don't really have any serious resolution to what's happening in Iran or with the Strait of Hormuz. So market doesn't really seem to care too much because even if we were down another percent, it really wouldn't be that big of a deal given the large scale of the situation that is going on in the Middle East. Flat bonds today, and then we are up slightly in silver and gold, and that is what I'm seeing today.
The market only seems to care about the Middle East over the weekend, and then it's just for the fade opportunity, right? However red the indices get over the weekend, you just fade the hell out of it on Monday. And you've been looking pretty good for the better part of the last few months. So I always chuckle when I see those red markets over the weekend. I've in the past have been guilty. I've tweeted a few times, this is the weekend. I'll invoke Dr. Vix. I'll say this is the weekend for Russell's secret weekend UVix trade. Spoiler alert, it never is, listeners. It never has been the weekend. You fade the hell out of vol, and at least so far, you've been doing all right. Mr. Rock Lobster, what say you about these weekend head fakes? Were you a big Sports Illustrated subscriber back in the day? Did you have the fabled football phone? And then what else is catching your eye, sir?
I was never a Sports Illustrated subscriber, sadly. I did not have the football phone. Like we discussed, that the swimsuit issue was probably something that I might have looked at once or twice. And as far as the weekend goes, like you're right. You go into Friday, things look kind of, everybody's like, I just don't want to hold it over the weekend kind of feeling at the end of the day. And then you realize, everybody realizes that, it's the same. What's weird is, and if I'm the mainstream media, wouldn't you want to try to report like how many ships go through the strait a day? Like who's paying the VIG, who's not paying? There's nobody it's hard to believe that there is so little information coming out of what could be a fairly easy body of water for somebody with some binoculars to go take a look at. But I guess hard-hitting news is not done anymore. People just retweet now. They don't actually just go find news. Maybe they just retweet. But at least if I was in the news gathering business, which I am not, right? We observe financial markets and offer ideas on how to make money based on what's going on, what the news is, like how does the market digest that news? And all of our original news comes from diving into, option paper, option flow, and what's going on there to try to because really when you think about it, there are very few places where you can get a global opinion as fast as you can the S&P 500, and then secondarily in from VIX, right? When we were laughing all this, I think this whole time, right, where everybody's shaking their head like, they shut down the Strait and the market's up. And why would people do that? And then you have the fortune of hindsight to go, maybe the market was like they played their card and that was the card Rand could play, and we'll see what's the next card they play is. So when you look at information, right, the SPY does a pretty good job, or the index, again, for most available news, right? News can change on a dime. Like before COVID, I think we were doing these shows and we were kind of shaking our head a little bit like, wow, stocks are pretty high with this virus in China, and then the virus is coming, the only way it got here is by what? Airplane, right? Somebody brought it over. And we're starting to think, well, wait a minute, why don't they do anything about the airplanes? And then, of course, the news shifted radically, as we all know. And the same thing could happen with the Iran situation. But at least up till now, the market has still been living on pretty rich valuations for AI, the potential for AI, agentic AI. There's like new every 2 or 3 months. I feel like there's a new phase that's going through. So, and at this point, the Qs are down a little bit from very, very high, recent all-time highs, because they also ran a crazy amount. I think the Qs are up 20% from the bottom in the last 28 days, something like that. So, again, from a news point of view, this Iran conflict, it will come to an end some way, somehow. Whether we get the peace dividend that I think we're going to get, or it spirals into some hellhole, only time will tell us. Right now, the market is thinking more along the peace line, but that could change. Like I said, it could change very fast. And I think every time we go into the weekend, everybody's like, spiraling into hell, just in case, right? Because that's where, traders, they really can't act. All they can do is act on a Friday, and then the news comes out on the weekend. So when you're waiting for news, participants act differently. When you're waiting for something where you're sure that news is going to come out. So, that's what we got. But all the earnings were very good. Chip sales, crazy. They can't make enough, computer chips. Financial companies are out. Generally you don't have sell-offs when the big banks are doing pretty well and the small banks are doing pretty well. And that's what we have. So, I mean, and this is in the face of everybody basically paying $4.50 for gas or more, depending on where you live. So what I would say is things look okay right now, but there's a lot of, there's, again, the Iran conflict's potential, but the last 2 days, volatility at the strike. Friday, it actually went down at the money for a 30-day option. And today, as I look at it, it was unchanged with the market just down fractionally. So there isn't demand for, they're not bidding up the at the money. So that to me also says that sky high top end is starting to come out. I think that's where the volatility is starting to come out a little bit in the index, so that we're going to run forever. We hit 7,500. That was a good mental spot. And now the market's going to take a breather. How long it takes a breather, I don't know. And today, I believe VXX, the volatility products are they at a 1 month low? Yeah, VXX ticked a 1 month low. So at least the VIX futures are settling somewhat. We're still stuck at 18, dead in the middle. But you get the feeling that everything is just taking a little breather here. That's what I'll say. We're having take a breather Monday.
No breather for me, no listeners, because the stats demand that someone read them out. So I guess that job falls to me, listeners. Let's break down some of the action out there right now. Is it an action-packed day? Once again, as usual, it kind of depends where you're hanging your hat in these markets. If you're hanging out in the indexes, then yeah, you're having a pretty action-packed day. In fact, dare I say it, VIX deciding to finally wake up. The last week and change, and once you hear the ADV, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But the last week and change, VIX just decided it was late August. Summer had come early and aggressively. The ADV, remember I was saying not that long ago, when VIX is averaging 1 million contracts a day, that is time to sit up and pay attention. VIX decided didn't want to do that anymore, falling out of bed on the ADV front, 664,000 contracts. That is the ADV now. That is a more start of summer appropriate seasonal level for VIX. That said, VIX today saying, hold my beer, coming out of the gate hot. I guess you get a little bit of red on the screen. Everyone kind of knows now the only green you're getting on the vol screen, red on the market screen, is pretty much on the open on Monday sometimes. So get while the getting is good. Seems like that's what happened today. We are pretty much at that ADV already, 661,000 contracts on the tape. So VIX getting out of the bed early today. The hot option in VIX land today, nearly 40,000 of the 29s, the June 29. So did you have that one on your bingo card, listeners? Number 2, 37,000 of the May 17 half puts. Number 3, about 28,000 of the 18 half puts. Number 4, 27,000 of the June 18 puts. If you're wondering, what does a nice tasty June 18 put cost you these days? 54 cents. And then number 5 in our top 5 today in VIX land, about 24,000 of the May 20s, 16 cents for those bad boys. Obviously, there's OI on pretty much all these strikes, so they could all be closing. It looks like someone might be bailing on those May 20s. Looks like they were hitting the bid, probably trying to get what little is left. In this case, there's still 16 cents. So if you want to take a nibble, if you think we got a hot pop and vol coming over the next couple of days, before you do that, I would caution you, go listen to Volatility Views. Mr. Dr. Vix broke down how many times we have crossed that 20 threshold over the past few months. And spoiler alert, it ain't a lot. So you need something really to get out of bed in the vol space over the next pretty much 24 hours if you're going to buy those. But c'est la vie, don't let me talk you away from it. SPY looking pretty active right now as well. 7.25 million contracts on the tape. The ADV 11 million. So well on the way there as well. The S, 3.5 million right now. The ADV, 5 million. So once again, well on their way in the S as well. Small caps also looking, dare I say it, a little bit more action-packed. And we come to really expect them to kind of hang out right around that 1 million contract level here. And they're a little bit north of that right now, 1.1 million. I mean, not blowing the doors off, but again, they've been, 800, 900,000 lately. By the way, small caps leading the dance to the dark side right now, off about 2/3%. So they like to lead in whatever direction the market is trending. Today, it is trending towards the red. Small caps, 1.1 million contracts. The ADV, 1.7. So it seems like they can probably hit that today. And the Qs, man, somebody really gave the Qs a shot in the arm today. 5 million contracts already. That's a banger. That's the spiciest we've seen the Qs in quite some time in terms of volume this time of the session. So the Qs quite definitely lighting it up out there today. The ADV is 6.6 million. This pace, they could hit that by the end of the show, listeners. So quite the banger out there in the Qs. Now, all that paper I just broke down, you might expect, okay, it's a banger in single names today as well. And then I would say, hold your horses. Not quite that exciting. Only cost you 316,000 contracts to break into the top 10 right now. That gets you to our old pal Nokia. The Finns taking a little bit of a hiatus as well today. They're actually selling off. Man, this name, we're just joking last week about Aramark. The last few weeks, it's been Nokia. All these formerly sleepy names, these also ran names, have been taking our advice. They're saying the magical letters of AI, and guess what? It's working out for them. I mean, the Finns selling off today about 30 cents, trading $13.66. But over the last month, they're up about 30% or over $3, just whispering those magical letters of AI. We don't have Aramark on here today, but hey, someone's got to feed the robots, and apparently that's Aramark. And apparently The street likes it, but I digress. Number 10, Nokia, 316,000 contracts. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, go check out the Thursday episode. The Flow Master and I and Uncle Mike had some fun talking about feeding robots on that show. Number 9, we're going out to Netflix. Used to be known as the Widowmaker. I don't know what you really call Netflix now, but today I call it $89.62, up 260 or about 3%, putting up 336,000 contracts for the number 9 spot on our countdown today. Number 8, Micron. Man, if you're just buying straddles in this thing pretty much every day, I think you're doing all right. This thing is whipsawing 6% at a clip, if not more. Today it is off $43.24, trading $681.42, putting up 420,000 contracts for the number 8 spot. So if you're playing the home game, that means a month ago it was $448. So it's up about 132 handles from there. Rallied all the way up to about 800, right in that ballpark, a little bit north of 800. And now coming back down the other way, another 120 handles to right around 680. So this name is literally wild. Number 8, Micron, 420,000 contracts on the tape. That'd be a great question of the week if the Twitter functionality was working. Are you trading names like Micron and our number 7 name Intel? Are they just too effing wild for you and you took your ball and went home a long time ago? I'd be curious to know, but alas, we shall never know. What is number 7, though? I just gave it away. It is Intel. 509,000 contracts on the tape. They're also taking a break today as well. I was eyeballing those 110 puts a week and change ago when we were north of 120. Those are looking decent now as the stock is below 110, 106.60, off a little over $2, about 2.25%, or about 2% today. So yes, Intel and Micron can both go green, and it seems like when they do so, they go red. When they go red in a hurry. Number 7, Intel, 509,000 contracts. Number 6, Alphabet sneaking back in there. I haven't talked about them in a few weeks. Alphabet Class A, of course. And they're saying sell off. What sell off? Pshaw to your sell off. We're going to rally $5.05, or about 1.25%, trading a little bit shy of 402 as of this portion of the show, putting up 577,000 contracts for the number 6 spot on our countdown today. Number 5, out to Amazon we go, up exactly $1. Looks like they've been having quite the day. They've had about a $6.35 range on the day. The high was $268.85, trading $265 exactly now. They're whipping around all over the place. Up right about $1 right now, listeners, trading a little bit north of $265 right now. Good for number 5, the Amazonians, also exactly 600,000 contracts on the tape for the Amazonians today. Let's keep it in a tech name, shall we? For number 4, this is the fruit company. This is another one. The street likes them. The street hates them. They're intrigued by the new CEO. They're worried about AI. All kinds of things being baked into the Apple number today. Today, that number is red, off $4.15, trading $2.96 pretty much exactly. So retreating ever so slightly off their new all-time high of $303.20 that they just set last week, listeners. So don't exactly weep for Apple. Number 4, $6.87 on the tape for the fruit company. Number 3, Mr. Softy. This is another one it's kind of hard to nail down. Today, actually, you could do it because it's literally almost unched on the day right now, even though it has had an almost $9 range intraday, hanging out right around the 423 level or so right now in Microsoft. So just ticking up again. It was literally unched just a few seconds ago. But again, Microsoft whipping all around, all over the place, hanging out today. Let's just pin it down here. 422.5 for 750,000 contracts. And the number 3 spot out there today, listeners. Then the top 2, you know what they are. Maybe the order might surprise you. NVIDIA, actually, number 2, ever so slightly. 2.77 million contracts on the tape for NVIDIA. Coming back down a little bit today, off nearly $4, trading $221.5. We all know new all-time high, $236.54, set just last week. So they were really liking that trip to China. They liked when Jensen got on the plane. I don't know if they liked what they got, which was really nothing. Hence the maybe a bit of downside we've got going on out there. But nonetheless, NVIDIA still looking well above that 212 level that it topped out at. But only number 2 on our countdown today. That means what's number 1? It's Tesla. Tesla giving back to the market gods today, selling off nearly $12 or about 2.8%, trading $410.32 right now, putting up 2.78. So you heard me, 0.01. That's all that's separating these two listeners today. So Tesla and NVIDIA very much in a bit of a knockdown, drag-out fight for the number one spot. Who will win? We got to tune in to the hot options report at the end of the day to find out, listeners. You also got to find out what's going on the earnings front. And if you like a little bit of earnings sprinkled into your trading, you're lucky. You still got some names popping off, including Home Depot before the bell on Tuesday, listeners. Red Robin, if you like your burgers, after the bell on Tuesday. Then, of course, keeping it in the big box home construction retail, it's Lowe's popping off before the bell on Wednesday. So you're getting your back-to-back dose, Home Depot and Lowe's, Tuesday and Wednesday. Target, so a little bit of big box retail going up on Wednesday as well. Hasbro, you want to know what's going on in some toys? There you go. TJ Maxx, they're still out there kicking apparently. And then some company called Nevada. I'm not really familiar with them, but I think they're after the bell on Wednesday as well. Of course, all eyes will be glued to them. How will the gambling legislation go in Nevada? How will that affect their earnings? I guess we'll find out after the bell on Wednesday. Thursday, if you like Chinese electric cars, you got NIO before the bell. And then the other side of the big box retail, you got Walmart popping off before the bell on Thursday as well. And then John Deere and then Zoom. So a lot of things popping off on Thursday. Uncle Mike's favorite fashion outlet, Ross Dress for Less, popping off after the bell on Thursday as well. So a lot of fun things. Dare I say it, a little something for everyone on the earnings docket this week. If you were really excited about Baidu, they were popping off before the bell today as well, because lucky for you, we have updated earnings move results and earnings season reports hot off the presses, courtesy of our friends over there at Orats. And right now, listeners, we've got Baidu. They were popping off before the bell. They were at 135 and a third. Going into their announcement, as of this report a little while ago, they were 136 and a half. So they had moved about 1%. They were expecting nearly 8%. So Baidu dramatically underperforming. Haven't talked Baidu on here in a long time out here. Right now, they've rallied a little more. They've rallied 3.25%, about 2.5%. Still dramatically underperforming their straddle. So if you were fading the hell out of Baidu earnings in terms of vol, then you're looking pretty good right now. We mentioned a big box retail coming this week. Lowe's 20th before the bell, 218.5 was where they were trading. They were pricing in $10.75. Okay, this is an interesting one. In the past, they've moved $5.74. So $5 and a penny worth of extra juice being priced into Lowe's. Is that merited? Is there perhaps some artifact in our data? Did something roll off the board over the past 12 quarters that took away a seismic amount of juice? Either way, that definitely merits further investigation. Keep your eyes on Lowe's, listeners, coming up this week. Target, not quite as wild. 121.5 is where they were trading when we ran this report. They were pricing in $9.58. In the past, they moved 10.13, so they're going the other way. They're actually taking a little bit off the top. And then let's just do TJ Maxx as well, because why not? They're on the 20th as well. 147.5, 568 is what they were pricing in. In the past, they've moved $3.37. So TJ Maxx is saying, bring the vol. I am intrigued, though, by that Lowe's number. Not a name I watch quite a bit, but dare I say it, I might be sinking my teeth into a little bit of Lowe's this week. Interesting. And then some name called Nevada popping off after the bell on the 20th as well. Right now, not a lot being priced in. That's wild there. They were at $225.30 when we ran this report. They were pricing in $15.28. And in the past, they've moved, get this, $15.15. So it's like the market makers have a sense of history or something. It's like they know what's gone on in the past or something. How wild is that? So literally unched right now in terms of what they're pricing in for juice in NVIDIA. We'll keep an eye on that to see if that changes. Walmart, 21st before the bell, 131.5 is where they were trading. They were pricing in $6.10. In the past, they've moved $5.56. So a little bit of extra juice being sprinkled on top there. That is kind of interesting, especially when you see Target going the other way. Target in the midst of a little bit more of a shakeup, though, which is also kind of interesting that they're taking some vol off the top. So maybe you disagree with that. And let's go out to the pandemic darling as well. Why not? Let's go out to Zoom 21st after the bell, 100 pretty much exactly when we ran this report. They were pricing in, get this, $4.67. In the past, they've moved 6 3/4, so taking over $2 off the top. That is kind of wild. Is Zoom pricing in a nothing burger here on the earnings front, or is that perhaps underbaked? Maybe you want to go nibble on a little bit of Zoom vol. I'm curious. I would ask you, but we know how that works now. That AKA it doesn't. Out to earnings season we go, and right now we're hanging out at 130%, which is a certified banger. This week is kind of light. We've only had a few names reporting so far. So once this week gets into high gear, I'm sure it will be a banger like all the rest. Week 1, 111%. Week 2, ridiculous, 165%. Week 3, 133%. Week 4, 129%. Week 5 is kind of the laggard right now. I put only in air quotes, 109%. All that averaging out, listeners, to just an explosive 130%. So as of right now, the trade has still been to buy vol. I'll let you know when that changes, but for the last couple of years now, that has been pretty much the case. Buying earnings vol in aggregate has been the way to go. Why? Because our long-term average is 105%. And we are once again blowing that away. But are we blowing away the unusual activity? Let's find out. It is time for the Odd Block.
It's time to break down the most interesting, unusual, and downright questionable options activity that's been identified by theoptionsinsider.com. It's time for the Odd Block.
All right, everybody, let's get weird. Let's get wild. Let's unleash the beast. That is the Odd Block. Let's kick it off with a nice, tasty Viceroy special, shall we? Let's go out to Amplitech Group Inc., ticker symbol AMPG, trading $3.17, up 22 cents or 7.5%. So a banger day for them today. If you go peak to trough, they've rallied nearly 40 cents. So a wild day out here for Amplitech Group listeners. On the year, let's see, has it been a wild year? It has been a good year, up 65 cents or about 25%. That said, a lot of that obviously coming today. If you go back just a few weeks to March 30th, they were $1.75, so they were actually down substantially on the year. So been kind of a wild one. They started off the year $2.50 a year ago. They rallied all the way up to almost $5. That was in September, $4.89. Then they came back to earth a little bit, $2.66 in November, back up to about $4.10, $4.15 in late January, then down again to, actually the low was $1.64 in late March, and then rallying all the way again to where they are right now, pretty much literally doubling from that nadir, including a nice pop today of another about 8%. So it's been a lot of upside out here in good old AMPG. What did our Eye of Sauron spot out here? Let's find out. Out to Jan we go. Somebody came in, said, Jan 5s, how are they? They got 45 cents at 65 cents. They said 65 cents. That sounds pretty good, but how about 60? 60 sounds even better. And you know what? Someone came in and said, okay, sold to you. So they paid 60 cents for 3,971 of these bad boys. That is a 104 vol, if you are wondering. So they are definitely not giving these away. It looks like earnings have already happened. I don't see any upcoming earnings, but obviously you're going to get another one between now and Jan expiration. So maybe factor in a few months. We'll be doing this dance yet again. Mr. Rock Lobster, you can buy the stock for, at the time, the stock was $2.91 when they bought these. So you can buy the stock for close to $3. They said, I'm buying the 5s for 60 cents. What say you, sir?
Buy the stock, I guess, right now. I look at it, I'm like, they're buying it. I mean, they're not outrageously priced, but it's a $3 stock, and you want to spend 60 cents for the 5s. The stock hasn't seen $5 in a long time, so maybe it'll catch some AI love. Never know. It could happen.
If Aramark can get the AI love right, then there's hope for all of us, Mr. Rock Lobster.
I think any company could get the AI love, but this one it's like again, it's possible. It's possible that these calls, but I think, a $3 stock, you just buy the stock.
If you can get a 60-cent bid, I think if you could sell those, you'd be quite happy getting all the way up to $5 and letting them go, plus 60 cents. Not a bad trade at the end of the day, listeners. But an interesting one. Would you be a buyer or a seller of those, listeners, as we keep rolling out to a name we haven't talked about in a little bit, Mr. Rock Lobster. This is our old pal, PBR. No, not Pabst Blue Ribbon. This is Petrobras. I was talking to some boys from Brazil down at OIC, and they were mentioning Petrobras out there. So it's been a little while since we've had them on the show. Trading $20.45, up about half a buck or 2.6%. It's been a wild year on the crude front, and that is reflected here in their stock. A year ago, they were $12. They're up about $8.41, or a whopping 70%. So not a bad little run. All that started ticking up, actually, not even at the start of the Iran conflict, but actually earlier in the year. They had a nice little tick up starting right the first week of January, where they were right around $11. So they've been off to the races pretty much ever since. Obviously, we saw all the fun with Venezuela and oil to kick off the year, and it's just continued now with all things Iran. And Petrobras reflecting that at a $20.45 level. But what do we spot out here? This was in the Class A shares, listeners. So you got to look to the Class A for these bad boys. And somebody came out and said, Jan 22 halves. How are they, listeners? They got a wildly tight market. They got 75 cents at 80 cents for an option that expires in over half a year, and it's on the Class A. So that's kind of interesting. Maybe something was being worked out there. But either way, we saw 20,000 of these Jan 22 halves going up for 80 cents on the offer. Again, the stock was $18.35 at the time. So interesting stuff about a 42 vol. Mr. Rock Lobster, what are your thoughts on these? You think somebody is rolling the bones on more upside on Class A, or were they working a bid and say, I want to get out on some of this rally and take my 80 cents and live to trade another day, sir?
That's a hard one. I was trying to actually come up with the PBR Class A. I guess I got to do a slash for Class A. Is there a Class A? Or is that just the regular shares or Class A? Maybe. Okay. No, hold on. I saw something.
No, there is a Class A. It's trading $18.44 right now.
Yeah, I'm looking there. There she. Oh, it's .A. I gotcha. Okay. I had to recalibrate myself there. Yeah, the open interest out there is about 125,000 contracts. Now it's 140,000 contracts. It looks like it's out. It's 80 bid going out. I think somebody wants to buy them. I mean, these are calls that were purchased. A PBR is one of those classic things where you give the government 2 trillion barrels of oil, and somehow the stock goes nowhere in 25 years. It is unbelievable. But I guess whatever Brazil uses it to fund the government or whatever they do with it. But I have not found PBR to be a great investment. Maybe this person will strike gold, but you got oil prices at all-time highs, and and this stock it's definitely higher than it was. No question about that. Basically moving with the price of oil, but other than that, I've always just seen PBR as a proxy for whatever the oil price is, because it just doesn't go anywhere. It pays a dividend sometimes, and that's about it. So I wish them luck on these 22.5 calls. That's all I'm going to say.
Not the sexiest.
I don't have great hopes for them.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Not the sexiest of names, but that means they're just due to whisper the magical letters, sir. They're next up. And then, bam, Petrobras 60 handle. By the way,
I would assume they're going to use AI to be able to drill for oil, but all that does is, that helps you find a better well to drill, but you still got to drill it. You got
to send the robots into the hole to drill. There we go. Now we're talking.
Yes.
Now we're cooking with gas, or in this case, crude oil. By the way, if you're wondering, how does the Class A compare to the regular shares? They're obviously both up this year. The Class A is up about 63%. The regular shares up about 69%. So a little bit of outperformance on the regular shares, which obviously a little bit more liquid, so you might expect a little bit of that. All right, out here to our final victim on the list today. This is T1 Energy Inc., ticker symbol TE. Trading $6.65, up about $1 or about 17% today. I do believe this is a newcomer. It looks like they might be active in the battery space out here. Either way, on the year, it's been a rock'em sock'em year. A year ago, they were a little over $1. So yes, they're up $5.53 or nearly 500%. So it's been a good year to be long some TE in your back pocket. That said, they did get as high as nearly $10. In January, they were $9.78. So they've had their wings clipped quite a bit. They also got down to about a little bit shy of $4 recently, $3.93 just in April 7th. So they've had a wild run from about 10 down to about 3 and change and right back up to 664 right now. So strap in for a wild one if you're diving into a little T1 energy. Let's see what our Eye of Sauron spotted out there. Looks like somebody's going near dated. Somebody came in and said the May 9s expiring not this week, but on the 29th. How are those looking? They got a nickel at 20. They said, give me 2,288, good sir. For 20 cents, I shall lift your offer. The stock was right about here when they went up, $6.63. No earnings in this bad boy. They're not until August 14th. So not an earnings trade. It just seems like a near-dated swing for the fences. Mr. Rock Lobster, what say? Are you adding TE to your stock list, sir?
This looks like it's a solar. Maybe they announced some kind of data center battery solar something for getting a data center going. So somebody is buying some moonshot calls that expire in 11 days. That's what it is. So again, wish them luck. Wish them luck paying 20 in there. And right now they're 15.20. So I think they got a long road to hoe for these to pay.
They operate a gigafactory in Wilmer, Texas, sir. It's applying solar and energy storage products, so the batteries and the solar cells. I don't know. It seems ripe to whisper those magical letters. I'm just saying.
It's the whisper we're waiting for.
I think that's what
somebody's waiting for that whisper.
Somebody is rolling the bones on that whisper right now. Meanwhile, we're all rolling the bones on Uncle Mike. Will it come up snake eyes? Let's find out. It is time for the strategy block.
It's time to dispense options, wit, wisdom, and education. It's time for the Strategy Block.
All right, Uncle Mike, the floor is yours, sir. And dare I say it, that's why I get the big bucks for compelling segues like that, sir. Just tying it all together with a ribbon.
You are the two things that are very impressive about you as a host is your segues. And then you are just a walking human thesaurus. I've learned so many new words.
I wish my son would listen. He could pick up some good words too. But I digress, sir. Have at it.
Yeah, you're definitely the type that has spent a lot of time just reading a thesaurus just for the fun of it growing up. That I can tell.
Is that not compelling reading to you, sir?
Not to your level. I yield to your level on words. But with that being said, I want to revisit a strategy that I think oftentimes gets overlooked in times like this when you are looking to hedge yourself in some way, shape, or form, and that is a put spread. Yes, a put spread can be fairly simple for a lot of our listeners, but I want to bring it up again in case you do have some stocks that have increased significantly, or if you have perhaps maybe you've owned oil throughout this oil run lately, and you want to take some deltas off the table in some way, shape, or form. You want to trim your position a little bit. You don't necessarily want to sell it, which you could do, whether it's for tax reasons or whether you just want to continue to have the upside, but you want to just trim your exposure a little bit. Well, the first instinct or the first thing to look at, of course, would be buying some put options. By buying put options, you're taking deltas off the table, you're putting some you're taking risk off the table, and you have some protection to the downside. But oftentimes when people do this, it stops with just taking the underlying off the table or buying put options. The spread is something that is a very valuable thing to do, especially if you feel that you don't want to pay for the 18 VIX. And by doing a good old-fashioned put spread, things with which you can do is get what you are looking to accomplish by taking deltas off the table, but but you're neutralizing vega and paying for less theta. And that can be something that's very beneficial to you. Now, let's say that you own a stock's gone up, and you want to buy the one put spread for every 100 shares that you have. But that doesn't quite get enough deltas off the table for you. Well, there's no rule in trading that says you're not allowed to buy 2 put spreads for the every 100 shares of stock you own, or 3, whatever the case may be. What I would encourage you to look at would be your position delta. By doing that, that can actually show you how much money you're taking off the table. And that's just another way with which you can open your mind to doing other more advanced hedging techniques that could be more beneficial for you depending on your situation. And that is the strategy block for today, which is Victoria Day in Canada.
There you go. Happy Victoria Day to all the Canadians over there hanging out in BC as we hang out around the block.
It's time to tell you what we'll be watching on our trading screens until the next episode. It's time for Around the Block.
All right, everybody, welcome to Around the Block, the portion of the show where we break down what we're keeping an eye on for the rest of the week, tell you some things to keep an eye on until the Flow Master joins us on the Thursday episode. Coming into the end of the show, we are seeing things hanging out pretty similar to where they were at the start of the show. S&P off a little over 0.25%. Dow still up about 0.1%. NASDAQ off about 0.7%. And the VIX cash hanging out right around 1835, almost literally unched from where it was to start the show. But around the horn we go. Mr. Rock Lobster, sir, what are you keeping an eye on for the rest of the week?
His mute button.
Oh, he's going to lose that point.
That's a penalty.
He's having some issues, he's saying. He's having technical issues. Well, I will say the Rock Lobster is keeping an eye on soybean oil, and also he's really big into copper right now. And he's also big on Class 3 milk. I bet you didn't know he was big on Class 3 milk futures. So there you go. That's your update from the Rock Lobster. Watch all those things. And if you want an in-depth deep dive on all that fun, you know where to go. Optionpit.com, the place to go to kick the tires and light the fires. Mr. Uncle Mike, your mic is still working. What are you keeping an eye on for the rest of the week, sir?
See, that's part of my strategy for the trivia contest. I'm going to cut his mic off. I got some special henchmen out there in Maine that are posing as clam pirates.
It is hard to win if you have no functional mic. That is true.
No question about that. I'll tell you what I'm just kind of keeping an eye on is I'm watching the market, not just the world news, just what you always have to keep an eye on. But the other thing that just keeping my interest, if you will, is just continuing to watch a lot of the zero DTE options that are out there, the 1 days and the 0 days, just because of the fact that just seeing if all of a sudden we see like 100,000 lot or something like that creep up in the SPX somewhere, just looking at that, you never know. So that's my tinfoil hat section of Around the Block for today.
Interesting. So you're looking for that one block to rule them all, 100,000 S&P puts or something like that. Then Uncle Mike's bailing. That's what's happening.
Well, then I just go short with everything, of course.
Oh, yes. Heavily short. That music means the show is running short. But before we go, listeners, make sure you're checking out our friends over there at Tasty Trade, tastytrade.com/insider. Fun little promo going. Really, it's supposed to only be for listeners of the Option Block and Volatility View, so take advantage of it. I may have whispered it on one or two other shows very secretly, but it's really only for you folks. Check it out, tastytrade.com/insider. If you like getting money back trading, you're going to get double the moolah. Not a bad thing, but you got to get in before the end of the month. So tastytrade.com/insider, the place to go to kick the tires and light the fires. Mr. Uncle Mike, if they want to kick the tires on some St. Charles Wealth goodness, where should they go? What should they do?
Head to stcharleswealth.com. Book an appointment with me. Always happy to talk to any of our listeners. If you're looking for a financial advisor that enjoys the option product, and my message to Tasty Trade, please come up with an advisor platform. I would really be interested in taking a look at what you guys had to offer for the institutional side, if it existed.
Oh, there you go. Maybe I will pass that along for you, sir. See what I can get done on your behalf. In the meantime, check him out, stcharleswealth.com. is the place to go to learn more. We got to get on out of here. If you're hanging out in the live, hope you had a good time. Hope you're enjoying all this new equipment we brought to bear just for you folks over there, so you have an even better live experience than you were already having. If you want to check them out, join the fun, theoptionsinsider.com/pro. I will be back again in a little bit talking all things crypto. I'll be joined by a good buddy, Mr. Boris from Coinbase. I haven't talked to him in ages. Should be a good time, listeners. So stay tuned for that if you want a deep dive. What the hell has Coinbase got going on these days in the crypto realm and indeed beyond? You're going to find out in a little bit on the Crypto Rundown. Then we're back after the closing bell with very much a segment of this show writ large. It is the Hot Options Report. It is some cool stuff. You got to check it out. Yet another reason why you should be subscribed to the full network. Then we're back again with all of our usual fun, including pro Q&As coming for the pro folks tomorrow, boot camp and associated futures fun on Wednesday. Then we're back again with the Flow Master on Thursday, another episode of the Option Block. Stay safe out there, everybody.
Want a trading platform that was built by option traders for options traders? Then join Tasty Trade, Investopedia's best platform for options trading 2026. Get advanced charting with 100-plus indicators, options backtesting, a pre-built strategy selector, and more with your account. Join Tasty Trade today and earn a double commission rebate up to $3,000 total on your stock and ETF options trades for 30 days. Visit tastytrade.com/insider for more info. All applicable regulatory, exchange, and clearing fees still apply. Options involve risks and are not suitable for all investors. Learn more about Tasty Trade promo terms and conditions at tastytrade.com/double. Offer expires May 31st, 2026. Tasty Trade Incorporated is a registered broker-dealer and member of FINRA, NFA, and SIPC.
You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.